Moving from the African continent back to Europe, we are reminded that cities play an essential role to provide local action to respond to global challenges. Climate change and energy security being among the most pressing issues of our time. The European Covenant of Mayors for Climate and Energy has long experience in supporting cities to contribute meaningfully to their own national climate action goals. Here with us today, I would like to welcome George Stiff, Climate and Sustainable Energies Officer for the Covenant of Mayors for Climate and Energy Europe, to provide a perspective on European synergies between cities' sustainability goals and smart strategies. Welcome, George.
Hello, thank you, Ravi. I hope everyone is doing fine over across the Atlantic and also down below in the Mediterranean to the colleague before me. So I am George Stiff. I am speaking on behalf of the Covenant of Mayors for Climate and Energy. And do I just start the presentation now?
Yes, please. The
Okay.
stage is yours.
Okay. Anyways, what I wanted to tell you about is the Covenant of Mayors. For those of you who don't know, is a worldwide phenomenon, but we are the European one. We are the oldest and strongest one of them. We help cities and towns who are trying to take climate and energy actions and for the climate change, but also to improve the future for their own citizens. So we have 9,800 signatories here in Europe alone, 37 European countries, 250 million inhabitants covered. Most of our cities in Europe are small and medium. Are large, this 2%, if you can read the fine print, means more than 250,000. That might not be very large on North American standpoint, but here it's pretty big. We also have a set of coordinators and supporters, around 400 of them. This means national ministries, it means regional authorities, it means the agencies working on government at national and regional levels, and they are all here to facilitate cities to get their climate change in action. So what is it that we ask them to do? Well, all the cities who are signatories, they are committing to accelerate their own decarbonization, phasing out fossil fuels, switching to renewables, getting energy efficiency in place. They're also working on climate resilience and adapting to climate change, and also alleviating energy poverty. This is the newest pillar of the Covenant of Mayors. And they're committing to 40% reduction by 2030 in CO2 equivalent emissions. This is all contributing also to the European level policies for climate energy, which in turn are contributing to the Global Paris Agreement and the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So this way, European cities and cities around the world, part of the Covenant, have a voice and contribute to this global movement. So just give you a little bit of detail about what it is that we do, because this is pretty core to what the cities are doing. They set up, we set them out on an iterative cycle. So the first part of the cycle is to define a vision and goals for energy and climate. Then they're going to determine their baseline. This means emission data. This means knowing about the energy performance or transport factors, socioeconomic drivers, and also things like the risks and vulnerabilities for adaptation. Then the city has to define its own targets and commit to them. So this means political will must be in place. And this is all outlined in a SECAP, Sustainable Energy and Climate Action Plan. This uses SMART indicators. Now, when I say SMART here, I'm not talking about SMART as in smart cities. I'm talking about this common acronym. So they're specific and measurable, achievable, that they're responsible parties that are named, and they're time-oriented. So every single action, every single measure in the plan, it's very clear who, what, where, how, why, and when it's going to be done. Also very important is the follow-up. So you have to monitor to make sure that you're doing what was promised in the obligations. And of course, you have to evaluate how well did you achieve it. Maybe you only achieved 2/3 of your goal. So you have to figure out what's the reason that you didn't achieve it. You revise your plan, and then you repeat the whole cycle. So one of these cycles can take a few years for a city to go all the way through to see how their implementation goes, but then they can repeat it again. And by that time, there's probably going to be new goals. We used to have goals for 2020. Well, we're already here in 2020. Now we have goals for 2030. There will be goals for 2050 and 40 and however long that our planet lasts. So But this is a smart city conference. So I want to talk to you about what are the synergies between smart strategies and SECAPs. So for example, SECAPs can be made smarter. So for example, there you can have smarter energy production. You can have emission data that's coming in real time and air pollutant data to get air quality data. You can optimize energy using smart solutions. You can install sensors around your city to measure flooding or temperatures for heat island effect. But also, I wanted to point out that you can make your smart strategy also oriented towards climate and energy. So if you don't want to have your own dedicated energy and climate plan, but you do want to have a smart strategy, then make it a bit more sustainable. I saw a few presentations ago that sustainability benefits was the top voted part of the poll. So this is part of that. So you can use smart meters, you can use smart technologies, you can use smart solutions like crowdsourcing or hackathons, maybe to help solve some climate change problems locally. You can use apps, and this is useful for billing purposes, or maybe to nudge people to do energy behaviors that you want to save energy. And also, it's important to embed smart infrastructure while you're doing action. So, for example, if you're building a bike lane or you're digging up the road to put pipes in there for heating, then you might as well put in the smart infrastructure, the fiber optics, or whatever else that you need to install, put it at the same time. This different initiative I wanted to talk about we have in Europe. This is not the Covenant of Mayors, but it's a sister initiative, which is the EU Smart City Marketplace. You can see here the website. There's a lot of information you can find here. It's not only dedicated to energy and climate issues, but I thought this would be a very useful resource for anyone who doesn't know it. You can find that there are 6 action clusters oriented towards citizens and business models, policies and regulations, districts and built environment, and mobility. And there are a lot of publications and toolkits, networking opportunities, and projects that you can find out about on this website. So, for example, there are these 14 projects, the so-called lighthouse projects, which the EU is funding, and some of them actually have to do with energy and climate and mobility. So I was going to give you a few examples to give you a taste of what some European cities are doing in this sphere already. So Umeå in Sweden has installed a very nice network of sensors for street lighting that makes it safer for citizens to walk at night, in particular oriented towards women. So this is a nice complementary between the social aspects and the energy aspects. Trento in the northern Italian Alps, they have installed a set of sensor network which collects all kinds of data: environmental, energy, mobility, safety, waste collection, and they're making use of it by the city. Additionally, they're also making it accessible to the citizens themselves. So maybe some developer out there is going to look at this data and then they're going to come up with a solution themselves and offer it to the city. Tartu in Estonia, which is its second largest city, is using smart solutions to set up a district cooling system which uses residual heat from their heating system and heat pumps. Bordeaux, France, which is very famous for its wine. It's France's largest wine-growing region. They're doing smart solutions for mobility, multimodal mobility, which means buses and trams and electric scooters and bike sharing. They're putting it all together using smart systems. And in Barcelona, which is also very famous to many of you because of the Smart City Expo, which happened just last week. I saw that Toronto won the Mobility Award, so congratulations, Toronto. But here in Europe, one of the things that they're doing for their own city is, for example, energy efficiency retrofits of buildings, and they're also offering virtual energy advisors to citizens, as well as home energy management systems. So, going back to what the Covenant of Mayors does, we have lots of resources available to us. We have online and offline events that are there, twinning programs, funding guides, tools that are available. You can find it all at eumayors.eu, and hopefully they will throw that into the chat so that you can click there yourself very easily. But I also want to stress, as you've already seen, you've heard from Africa. I saw there was France earlier, North America, obviously, and Israel earlier. Europe is only one continent out of 7, and it's only one of 10 regions for the Global Covenant of Mayors. So the Global Covenant of Mayors takes the same concept, which was somewhat pioneered by the Europeans because we're the oldest and the strongest of the global regions, and they've spread it across the globe. including there in Canada. So if you're not yet a signatory, you can join up. You can join Montreal, who's already a signatory there, and you can just check it out at the globalcovenant-canada.org. That's all.
Thank you very much, George. We have a question from the public, Isabel from Montreal. She was asking, what kind of challenges do you face working with different cities and different mayors?
Well, I mentioned, for example, the political will. The political will is very, very crucial. If you don't have the political will, then it's not going to move forward. You can have the most motivated, most competent staff. But also the reverse sometimes happens. Sometimes you have a mayor who's extremely motivated and the staff is either unmotivated, overworked, or they don't know the issues, or they don't have the mandate. So this is also really important that the city has the mandate to work on these issues. So for example, the factory that's outside of your town, your city might not have a mandate over it, but you can still use your voice and influence it towards the regional or national level that does have the mandate for it.
And sometimes it takes time, but sometimes it fast, depending of, like you said, their mandates and their needs.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
Thank you very much, George. That's all the time that we have. Where can we follow you?
So I think the best is to go to eumayors.eu, which is our website. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we have YouTube channel, so you can check us out on almost everything.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too.